Joining me also to discuss further on the week in review, everything that happened in the country during this week, economically that is, and everything that affected Nigeria. So the most common, or rather the most popular thing, was the decision by the Central Bank of Nigeria after they had their Monetary Policy Committee meeting, and how they have increased the interest rate from 18.75% to 22.75%. So right now in the studios, I have a guest with me. His name is Dr. Oluseye Ajuwan. He's an economics lecturer at University of Lagos. He's also a research fellow at the Nigerian-China Institute of Development, and he's also a lecturer at University of Lagos. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you.
Okay, we're happy to have you at Market Insight this morning. So, rather, I was discussing a few of these things with my previous guests. So now that you have joined us, actually, we have heard how this new interest rate is supposed to improve on the inflation situation, to somewhat curb it, if I'm allowed to say that, to an extent. So, but we know in the long term, the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, Mr. Cardoso, also said that he hopes that the inflation will actually reduce in the country. But we're actually looking at how this situation, how it affects the common man in the country in terms of purchasing of personal items, in terms of scarcity. How can the common man be affected by this? Yes, we've heard, with the new interest rates, it can curb inflation. Banks will actually increase their capital, their loans, when you actually go to them for a loan. And if a small business owner went to the bank, for example, to request for a loan for business, it's not going to be very convenient. Don't you think this new interest rate benefits more of the elites in the society than the common man who is still struggling to put food on his table? Your thoughts, Dr. Ajuwan?
Actually, when you understand the situation of things in the country now, then you will understand and appreciate what the Central Bank of Nigeria is actually doing. We all knew what happened during the last regime of our former president. They went into money printing, and we all know the means and ways running into trillions of naira. So there is so much liquidity in the economy, and that is what is actually jacking up the price of things in the country. And unfortunately, we the masses, the common man, we are also not helping ourselves at all, because now we are pegging everything to dollars as if dollar is our currency. And it's unfortunate, because when you go to the market and you are looking at commodity that has nothing to do with dollars, everybody will be telling you, because the price of dollar had gone up, so those prices too must go up. You ask yourself, what does yam got to do with dollars? Exactly. What does gari got to do with dollars? But you see, the prices of all those things have gone up, and we, the masses, we are not even helping ourselves at all.
If I just add this, sorry for interrupting you. This situation has also been blamed on rates like our high tax tariffs, energy, also the cost of running diesel to produce certain items. For example, something that everybody, mostly the average Nigerian citizen, uses, pure water. A bag in some cases is going for as high as 500 naira and 600 naira. And then you begin to wonder, like, what is involved in the cost of production? And then they tell you, oh, the price of diesel is really high, and then they have to use diesel to power their machines to be able to seal the sachet to make this pure water. So I still think that this is also affecting them. Yes, we might say you're not importing these machines, but energy is something that every Nigerian business uses every day. So it's
we are still saying the same thing. If you are talking about pure water, you are saying pure water, they made use of diesel to power their, which is making,
because we don't have
and there is no electricity. For more than a month now, I've not been sleeping well, because the supply of electricity to where I'm living is almost zero. So it's understandable if the price of pure water is rising, but when the price of yam, price of gari, price of cocoyam, price of sweet potato, that has nothing to do with diesel or whatever, is rising, then we are the ones doing that to ourselves. palm oil, you don't need diesel to produce palm oil. We don't need, although we know that we need diesel to transport them from wherever they are to where it's going. But that cannot be increasing the price by 100%, 200%. So you have to agree with me when it comes to that you can't tell me that because the price of diesel to transport the goods from wherever it is to wherever it's going is what is making yam to be 200, 300%, rise in the price. So we are the one that is actually dealing with ourselves when it comes to that. And when you critically assess that, we will know that it is the middlemen. For instance, I've heard that in Lagos, once the trailer arrived, the middleman will just pay the trailer, and by the time they start supplying it, you realize that the price of the commodity would have been more than double. So these are areas that government needs to look at. That how can the commodity come all the way from north? Let's say a truck load of yam is 2 million naira. By the time it gets to Lagos, from that time to when it will now go to the people that will sell it, it would have changed to 6 million naira. I think government needs to pay attention to that to ensure that the middlemen are not robbing the masses unjustly. I have a friend that was telling me that he has somebody like that living in his neighborhood, and the guy is just building and building. So if everybody is suffering and some people think that this is the right time for them to be exploiting others, government needs to take a look at that and ensure that that sharp practices is curtailed.
So it's just you believe this is a case of man's inhumanity to man, this current situation, and not the high government policies that we've seen in recent times? Because don't you think this is more elitist, actually, this high interest rate? It benefits the rich in the society than the common Nigerian? Because if a new person, a new business owner wants to expand his or her business, wants to actually pay salaries and needs the services of a financial institution to do this, and then they tell you, oh, we have increased our interest rates to maybe 26%, how does a new business survive? Wouldn't this lead to more job losses for people in businesses? Doctor?
You see, in economics, we said there is a trade-off between inflation and unemployment. So it's either you are facing unemployment and you don't bother about the inflation, or you face inflation and you don't bother about unemployment. But the way things are, we all know that unemployment is actually the number one problem in this country. And it's better to face unemployment far more than the inflation. But the level of inflation that we have now, we've gotten to a position where government can't just say, oh, it is unemployment that is a major issue, and leave inflation unabated, not controlling it. Because the way the level of inflation is now, it has completely discouraged any form of investment or any form of long-term planning. Because you go to the market now, they tell you the price of something is this. I'm telling you, within that same day, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, you get to the market, they can tell you the price has changed. So it's really, it's really problematic that government cannot fold their hands and just watching it the way it is. And when you are saying that the interest rate, let me encourage you how interest rate actually have to curtail the excess money in supply. The problem that is, we always say that inflation is all about too much money in circulation, and the way to go about that is to actually increase the interest rates, also increase the bank deposit rates, and those are. I was in a forum where we were talking about the open market operation as a way of curtailing the excess money but eventually I was educated to understand that going through using open market operation to curtail the excess liquidity in the economy is as well increasing in the near future. So it is not ideal to make use of open market operation, because by the time you are paying the money back with the interest, you are actually increasing the quantity of money in the economy, which is what, So eventually, at the end of our debate, what we agree on is that, one, the government should stop printing of the money. They should, at least stop the increase in the supply of money as the first, instance to take. So this issue of interest rate is a way of narrowing down, the excess money, because definitely if you want to go into any investment and you realize that the interest rate being given will not be profitable for the venture you are going in, it will discourage you from going into it. And, the real issue, when you are saying that it will benefit the elite, I look at it, I can't see any way it's benefiting the elite. Because when you look at it in Nigeria, the savings rates and the inflation is always higher than the savings rate. So to save is a culture. It's not because of the interest rate, because if it is interest rate, it's always negative. So if the real rate is negative, so how is it benefiting the elite? It's not benefiting the elite. In terms of
if they want to get a loan.
But if they want to get the loan, they too are getting it at the same rate. They can't get it at any lower rate than, because the commercial banks that want to give money, we have to give it at a rate higher than what the central bank is setting. So they too, we are all entering the market and, buying, and that's the cost of, actually demanding for interest rate. So it's not benefiting anybody. If at all there's anybody that is benefiting, then you will say the financial institutions are the one, that can reap the benefit. But in a situation where the inflation rate is higher than the interest rate, you ask yourself, is anybody benefiting? So, the issue at hand now is to actually ensure that the inflation is brought to a manageable level.
A manageable level, perhaps maybe if we are lucky, a single-digit level. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Ajuwan. Thank you for joining us this morning on Market Insights. Actually, we do appreciate your coming here. Dr. Ajuwan is an economics lecturer at University of Lagos, and he is also a research fellow at the Institute of Nigeria-China Development. Let's take a look at the parallel markets and the official market rates this morning. Coming in this morning, we want to look at everything from the whole week, from Monday till today. So we're going to look at that briefly. And yes, we've also noticed that in recent times, the rates have been fluctuating. We've had some days, we've had the CBN rates higher than the parallel market rates. In some other days, we've had the parallel market rates higher than the CBN rates. So on Monday, we had the Naira was actually selling the dollar at 1,662 Naira. This is the Central Bank of Nigeria rates. And the parallel market was actually selling the dollar at 1,700 Naira. Now the difference there, actually, the parallel market was higher than the Central Bank of Nigerian rates, just by 38 Naira. Then on Tuesday, we had the Central Bank of Nigeria was selling the Naira for the dollar at 1,499 Naira, and the parallel market was selling it at 1,530 Naira, a difference of 31 Naira. So that was also the difference there on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, we noticed that the Central Bank of Nigeria rate was higher, which was selling for 1,670 Naira for the dollar and 1,610 Naira at the parallel market. So surprisingly, the Central Bank of Nigeria rates went up, and on Thursday it was selling for 1,491 Naira at the Central Bank of Nigeria, and at the parallel market selling for 1,450 Naira. So this shows a downward and upward movement actually for the rates. Actually, it didn't stay going up continuously. It kept moving up on some days, moving down on some days. And today, Friday, we had that on Thursday, the central bank rates were higher than the parallel market rates. But on Friday, we had that the CBN rate selling the dollar at 1,450 Naira and selling the Naira at the parallel market was going for 1,510 Naira. So this means that it was higher at the parallel markets. So that was our parallel market figures and Central Bank of Nigeria figures for the week that just ended today, Friday. Thank you so much, Dr. Ajuwan, for joining us this morning on Market Insights. It was good of you to share your thoughts with us on the new interest rates and how Nigerians can actually be affected by this. We hope in future, actually, this inflation can be reduced to a single-digit figure. And that's our package this morning on Market Insights. I remain your host, Lovina Emma. Stay tuned for our continuous programming on SOUQ News.